it was the song my mother sang with sweet and humble voice. Like music from the world above, it makes my soul rejoice. It's soothing words and melody, like rippling waters flow. I'll taste it, praise how sweet a
to understand when Christ is going to come, isn't it? Because many are out there seeing things happen, but they're not able to discern whether it's Christ coming or whether it's just reality. So let's see what Paul has to say for us in 1 Thessalonians 5.
Verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief.
But ye, brethren, are not in darkness. What does that mean? Because he says we're not in darkness, so that we were able to understand when Christ is going to come, isn't it? We're able to discern when the signs are being shown. So he says we're not in darkness. So that means God has prepared something, and a system that allows us to discern whether Christ is coming or not.
Yes.
There was another movement that was given this similar system. The first exhorters were given this similar system as well. Let's go to Deuteronomy 6, verse 17. It was given this system as well, but why were they given this system? Let's see. What system was it?
Verse 17. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he hath commanded thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers.
Amen. So if we say that Israel, the first Exodus was a type, isn't it? And we can refer to ourselves as an antitype, because just like them, we're waiting to go into a promised land as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So it says God has given a system to them. He has given them the commandments and statutes so he can be well with them. You understand? So that when as they progressed, they could be able to understand the events of their time. You understand? That's pretty much what the system is there for. Let's go to 12:1 and see why God gave this system.
The purpose which God seeks to accomplish through his people today is the same that he desired to accomplish through Israel when he brought them forth out of Egypt.
Okay.
Amen.
So with God, when God was with the people of Israel out of Egypt, he had an aim. He had the aim to make them a great nation, isn't it? He had an aim to take them out of Israel and to put them into a land which is flowing with milk and honey, isn't it? He had an aim. So similar to those times, he has an aim for us now as well. He has an aim to give us this system, which is the statutes and the commandments, so that we're able to enter the promised land. Because those are the same statutes and commandments that they were meant to keep in the promised land. There was not going to be left in the wilderness. They were meant to continue it on up until the end of eternity, isn't it? Even now we know it. It's the system that was given to Moses that is still continued up until our time.
By beholding the goodness, the mercy, the justice, and the love of God revealed in the church, the world is to have a representation of his character.
So the world is meant to have a representation of his character through this system. How does the world see a representation of the character through the system? How can we say? Through the commandments. How does the commandments make you a representative of Christ?
Suppose it makes a holy nation. Once the people abide in the laws of the commandments, they are made a holy and a peculiar nation. And the character of God is revealed to the world.
There you go. And specifically, you can say the commandments, they can keep you morally and make you morally a good person, isn't it? Because if you see somebody who doesn't steal, who doesn't kill, isn't it? That's a person that you would like to associate with. And also with the statutes, it makes you ceremonially connected to heaven. and the judgments, it also makes you morally, even more ceremonially, a good person. Do you understand? If you abide by God's judgments and you are fearing God through His judgments, you're not quick to. Do you understand? You're not quick to do wrong. Do you understand? You're scared. You've got something to keep you in bounds. Do you understand? I want you to read the next sentences. See what it says.
And when the law of God is thus exemplified in the life, even the world will recognize the superiority of those who love and fear and serve God above every other people on earth.
You see, one thing that the world recognizes about you is the superiority of keeping His laws. Because if you think about, let me put it into context. My own friends that I was speaking to, whenever I go and come back, they always think that I've got money. They always think I come from a rich background just because I go to Israel 3 times or 2 times a year. You understand? But when I look at it myself, I do not actually have that much money. I'm not actually rich. Generally, I'm not actually rich. I'm not. But because I'm keeping the law, it appears as if I'm. Yeah.
The Lord has His eye upon every one of His people. He has His plans concerning each. It is His purpose that those who practice His holy precept shall be a distinguished people.
Yes.
When we keep His law, and when we keep His statutes, He will make us different to other people. People will testify and say, you know, this guy is different. This person is different. At first, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it that we can be different from people just for keeping this law. And up until I was told, one time we were just in school, you know, when you're with your friends, and you're just standing around in school, and then the teacher approaches and says, look at you all standing there. Don't you have anything better to do? And then I said, oh, sorry. We're not meant to we're not meant to cause trouble. Then they said, don't worry, you're not causing trouble. It's them that are causing trouble. And yes, we were just all doing the same thing, standing. But because maybe, I don't know what they saw, they said that I was not keeping trouble. Do you understand? So the law just molds you as a person. And just changes how people see of you. And maybe yourself, we don't recognize it because it's your day-to-day life, but the world will testify and tell you that something is changing.
To the people of God today, as well as to ancient Israel, belong the words written by Moses through the spirit of inspiration. Thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto Himself, above all that are upon the face of the earth. Above all.
Can you read the second sentence once again?
Thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto Himself, above all that are upon the face of the earth.
So what makes us distinguished? Is it our own merits?
No.
But it's the reason because God has chosen us. Just by God choosing you, automatically it just changes your character. By God choosing you, automatically you appear to be someone who you've never thought to be before. Because if I think me as a good person, that's something I've never thought of myself as. I just thought I'm always average to everyone. But because God has chosen us, He's made us appear as if we're good people on earth. You understand? On this earth where there's loads of evil, we are able to be seen different from everyone else.
Behold, I've taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
So when God's wanting to look for wise people on earth, He doesn't go to those people who have degrees.
No.
He doesn't go to those people who are doctors. Because to them, He just looks at them as learned of the earth. But when He looks for wise people, He's looking for people with His statutes, His judgments, and His and His commandments. You understand? He's not looking for anyone that's gone to college, university for 10 years. but he's looking for somebody who is trained. You understand? That's something he's looking for, isn't it? When he looks for ministers for his flock, he does not go to people who's going to learn in universities, but he goes to somebody who's learned, because that's where the Spirit is. You understand? Mm-hmm.
For what nation is there so great, who has God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day?
We're given laws, yeah, to govern us. We've been given even testimony to govern us, isn't it? And to the world, we're seen as people who are so peculiar because we have the law of God. Do you understand? But one thing we have to remember is Satan very much knows that if a movement is compiled with all these things, commandments, statutes, that's the movement God's looking to, isn't it? So he seeks to cause disruption among them. Do you understand? Let's go to 1 SM 48.3. Because there's a specific way that Satan is going to approach this group, which has all these statutes and laws. He's not going to come to you and say, commit adultery. He's not going to come to you and say, steal. But there's a certain way that he is going to do this. Because if he comes to us and says, steal, we won't steal. So there's a one way that he knows that if he tunes this side, we might bite. You understand? Let's go to 1 SM 48.3.
The last deception of Satan.
Yes.
Satan is constantly pressing in the spurious to lead away from the truth. The very last deception of Satan will be to make of none effect the testimony of the Spirit of God.
Oh, right there. What's the last deception?
To make of none effect the testimony of the Spirit of God.
What does that mean?
To make of none effect the person whom God has appointed to be the mouthpiece.
Yeah, like I said, he's not going to come with the commandments and say break them.
No.
Because we won't break them. He's not going to come with the statutes and say don't go to Israel, because we'll still go.
Yes.
But there's one thing that's the human body is easy to have, is distrust in someone.
Yes.
You understand? It's very easy to see something and distrust in that person. Do you understand? So that's why he says he is coming to make no effect the true testimony of God. So that means any little thing that can be there to cause you to have no more faith in your testimony is ready to do so.
Yes.
You understand?
Where there is no vision, the people perish. Satan will work ingeniously in different ways. And through different agencies to unsettle the confidence of God's remnant people in the true testimony.
His overall aim, is to get us to go away from the flock, isn't it? But he can't just do it all at once, you understand? He has to find an opening. So if he can find an opening by making you distrust in the testimony, that means Israel will have no effect. Because when you don't have trust in the person leading you to Israel, Israel won't have any meaning. Do you understand? And it says, it says Satan will work generously in different ways and through different agencies to unsettle the confidence of the remnant and God's remnant people. So anything that could oppose your leader, Satan is ready to use it. Whether it be your diet may not agree with her, he's simply going to use that diet. Or even gossip, anything. He can use very small things just to cause an opening to lead you out. You understand? Let's go to the next paragraph.
There will be a hatred kindled against the testimonies, which is satanic.
You see, a satanic hatred. What does that mean? If I was to ask. Because there's no more hatred. You can just hate someone because something's done to you. You see, I can come and step on your toe. You have a reason to hate me there, isn't it? It's up to you to choose to hate me. But if I stand on you or do something to you, you have a reason to hate me. But a satanic hate, what do you think that is?
There's nothing
Nothing that is done. Maybe she could come and preach to you, and somebody could just be look at those shoes. Just say, look at her shoes. Can a leader wear those shoes? No. And again, you've opened for Satan, isn't it? Something so simple like that. Or even her phone, you can say, look, she's got an iPhone 6, now there's 10. You see, something like that just to distract your faith so that you can lead an opening. What else did they say?
There will be a hatred kindled against the testimonies, which is satanic. The workings of Satan will be to unsettle the faith of the churches in them. For this reason, Satan cannot have so clear a track to bring in his deceptions and bind up souls in his delusions if the warnings and reproofs and counsels of the Spirit of God are heeded.
One major job that a leader of a movement has is to counsel, isn't it? To counsel wherever you go wrong, to lead you back into the road. Now that very thing, Satan knows, if this person takes heed to that, I have no opening. I have no opening. So, if she comes to, if let's say I steal, yeah? And she finds out I steals, and she comes to me and says, you're not meant to steal this. And then if I turn around and not take heed to what she has said, and say, but maybe sometimes she can steal, or you look at her defects, that's Satan leading me to an opening so that he can lead me away. Do you understand? He'll turn love into hate. Do you understand? She could just come to just give a simple reproof, but with Satan, he tries to turn that around and make you turn into doubt and shoot the gun at her, but not change who you are. You understand? Is this one finished? Okay, can we go to the same book, 1 SM, but 45.1? Because we know Satan doesn't come. He doesn't come plainly, isn't it? Because if he comes here and stands before us, we just tell him to go, isn't it? It's simple to deny his words when he's there, but he has agencies. He has his own maneuvers to get in between the flock. Do you understand?
When you find men questioning the testimonies, finding fault with them, and seeking to draw away the people from their influence, be assured that God is not at work through them.
So if you see me coming to you to say negative about the leader, is God working through me?
No.
Who's working through me?
It's the hatred that is satanic that we are talking about.
It's the devil working through me.
Yeah.
That's all. The devil is working through me to just speak to you and about things which will just take off your faith. You see?
Yeah.
Just so simply, he just comes. If you hear a person coming to speak negative of the leader to you, run. Run. Go away from that person for his poison. You understand? Because once you open, it starts to be manifest in you. You understand?
It is another spirit. Doubt and unbelief are cherished by those who do not walk circumspectly.
You see, there'll be people in a movement just ready to find fault. Just their job in the movement to find fault against the leader, to try and lead people away. Because there's always two parties still. Because we're now still trying to get to the kingdom, isn't it? So there'll always be those two parties. As long as there's Satan alive and there's God alive, there's always be the two parties. There's always be people there for God and people there working for Satan. And sometimes you may not even know it. Sometimes you could be just speaking what you have seen, but you may not know the spirit which is leading you to speak those things. Sometimes you may not even realize it, but it's happening. That's why you need to check yourself. That's why it says, those who doubt are those people who do not walk circumspectly, because they do not assess themselves. They do not see their own defects. That's why they're so quick to see someone else's. You understand?
They have a painful consciousness that their life will not abide the test of the Spirit of God.
Conscious.
Yeah.
Themselves know.
That their life will not abide the test of the Spirit of God.
They themselves know that when it comes to it, I'll fail.
They can't step it.
So they're going to look for their own. People like them They'll try to put themselves on everyone's level.
Yes.
They're all sinners. They'll try to see, I won't pass this. So won't she. She's same like me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
She'll see their own defect and compare it to the leader's defect. Do you understand? Mm-hmm.
They have a painful consciousness that their life will not abide the test of the Spirit of God. Whether speaking through His Word or through the testimonies of His Spirit, that will bring them to His Word. Instead of beginning with their own hearts and coming into harmony with the pure principles of the gospel, they find fault and condemn the very means that God has chosen to fit up a people to stand in the day of the Lord.
You see, people who could find fault in the means that God has prepared. Just these flowers, I can come and say, why are there flowers here? Just finding fault, why are there flowers here? Probably you can say people has hay fever here. They all sneeze of flowers. You understand? But God has created a mean to make His temple look beautiful. But because you are not circumspect to your own defects, you're finding defects of those means. You understand? Mm-hmm. Is that one finished?
That's a strong point.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to 45.2, the second paragraph.
Let some skeptical one come along, who is not willing to square his life by the Bible rule, who is seeking to gain the favor of all, and how soon the class that are not in harmony with the work of God are called out.
Right. So Satan's among us now, isn't he? And he's trying to get us. He's trying to lead this movement into pieces. Do you understand? So for him to do this, if we're so strong, like he says, we're compiled with all the means, the commandments, the statutes and judgments. So that means this movement is strong, truly. So he's not going to come with simple tests to tear this apart. He's going to be tactful about it. He's going to have people in here who is coaching. You see, he will just be coaching their disbelief day by day. Up until he's brought them to a certain extent, then he brings a skeptical one so that they can be a fuel for that person. Do you understand? So he'll bring somebody who will just have something against probably the leadership or even the church. Just a simple disagreement that person may have. Satan now awakens the people who is trained to come and support and to put juice into that person. Do you understand? And to harden the heart of that person. Do you understand? So that means if we are not watchful, Satan could be training us day by day. We may not be even seeing it, that he's training our disbelief, but he's surely doing it. You understand? So we need to check ourselves day-to-day basis. What I've thought just now about the leader, is it good? Is it bad? If it's bad, kneel down and ask God to forgive and to strengthen you. Do you understand? Because you do not want to be the person who Satan is. Because Satan is just going to train people to leave them on standby. And once a skeptical person comes, it's time for your job to awaken. Do you understand? You qualified. Yeah, carry on.
Those who are converted and grounded in the truth will find nothing pleasing or profitable in the influence or teaching of such a one. But those who are defective in character, whose hands are not pure, whose hearts are not holy, whose habits of life are loose, who are unkind at home or untrustworthy in deal, all these will be sure to enjoy the new sentiments presented.
So for those who are pure and circumspect, they will not be caught up in this snare. You see, I could come here and advocate something. Yeah, I can say, what can we do? I can say everyone should be wearing blazers, or no man should be wearing blazers. Yeah, I've just given an example. If I say no man should be wearing blazers, those who have been circumspect with their life and faithful in the scriptures will see right through my act. Will see this is nonsense and see where it's going. You understand? But those who are not circumspect and their habits of life and disbelief is loose will be so quick to come to my side to support me. You understand? And enjoy opposing the leadership. You understand?
All may see, if they will, the true measure of the man, the nature of his teaching, from the character of his followers.
Read that one again one time.
All may see, if they will, the true measure of the man, the nature of his teaching from the character of his followers.
If there's a saying actually that they say, show me your friends and I'll show you your character. Do you understand? If I come to you with disbelief, you don't even have to look at me and ask me of disbelief. Just search the people following me. Search the people I associate with. They will tell you. They will give you the picture of who my character is, isn't it? Just like thugs in the streets. Do you think a thug would like to stay with someone very spiritually?
No.
It doesn't bind. Surely. When you've got a following, when you've got friends or associates, for you to associate with someone, surely your standards have to bind and collaborate, isn't it? You cannot bind with someone with a character completely opposite, because it will just be a battle. Do you understand? Their goodness against yours.
Those who have the most to say against the testimonies are generally those who have not read them. Just as those who boast of their disbelief of the Bible are those who have little knowledge of its teachings. They know that it condemns them, and that their rejection of it gives them a feeling of security in their sinful course.
So it's actually Satan just enforcing this spirit in you, that if you associate yourself, let's say if you associate yourself with a leader, it will correct your wrongs. You understand? So for you not to associate with the leader, there must be a reason why you can't do that. You fear them. You know that they will condemn you. Do you understand? So it must be that for Satan to keep you in a trap, he has to keep you with all strength away from the leader. You understand? So that he can continue to have you under his armpit for future references. You understand? So those who do not associate with a leader or have disbelief in a leader, they will tell me this, and they will strike me hard. Do you understand? It's a coward spirit. Do you understand? Instead of helping yourself, instead of taking love to reform your life, you tend to stay away from that and continue doing wrong. You understand? Let's go to as you just close on the last. Let's go to 1 SM 165.5 just to close.
All who are led by the Holy Spirit of God will have a message for this last time.
So, for those who disbelieve, the curriculum that you should weigh the leader as is this. Does she have a message? If she does, hurry up and jump back in line. You understand?
With mind and heart, they will be carrying a burden for souls. And they will bear the heavenly message of Christ to those with whom they associate. Those who in speech act as the Gentiles act cannot be introduced into the heavenly courts. My brethren, receive the light, redeeming the time, because the days are evil.
So you see, it says, those who in speech act like the Gentiles act. What does that mean? Those who have unbelief and reject, cannot be introduced into heaven, into the heavenly courts at all. So if you are rejecting the testimony who God has put before thee, you can't be led into the heavenly courts. You understand? It just won't bind. Do you understand? It says, my brethren, receive the light, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. And then at the top it said, with mind and heart, they will be carrying a burden for souls. So for the curriculum, when you look at the leader, and you're trying to look for one, isn't it? You see, does she have a message? And you tick the box. Does she have a burden for souls? In closing, we can just say, at the start we were saying we're not in darkness. So that meant that we were given a system by God to prove. We're given a system by God to prove that we are not in darkness. Do you understand?
Yes.
So with the group without this darkness, without this system, just like the group with the Exodus movement with Moses, the devil is seeking day in, day out to tear this apart. Because he knows if a group is compiled with all these things, Christ's coming is near.
Yes.
And his destruction is near. Do you understand? So he'll be trying in every single angle to try and destroy this group. Do you understand? But it's up to you and me that when we see an error in our own character, we kneel to God and ask for forgiveness. May God bless you. Read His word.
Amen.
Aksamia.
They sing with sweet and humble voice, like music from the world above. It makes my soul rejoice. It's soothing words and melody, like rippling waters flow. Amazing grace, how sweet a sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, how sweet a song